I feel bad for poor Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
And here's why you should feel bad. Go light a candle at your local church for Andy Dalton, because the Ravens have lost 4 games in a row. They need this win to keep pace in the playoffs, and they're coming off of this where they don't feel like they got a fair shake from the league and all this. They are going to be pissed on Tuesday night and teeing off on poor Andy Dalton.
Yep.
There might be just like little specks of red hair all over the field in Baltimore. It's going to be bad. When we come back, we'll go through Daily Fantasy. This is the Fantasy Football Show, brought to you by Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, and Brotherwell Brewing on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Kill it.
Steve's trying to kill a very small bug.
Did you see it?
I saw it. I've seen it. It's not just.
It's going to land in my beer, and then I'm really going to be mad.
Well, then it dies happy.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not concerned with how the bug. There it is again.
Yeah.
It's my nemesis.
Yeah. Most of God's.
Steve.
Yeah. Most of God's creatures deserve a righteous death. So, let him go. Let him go out with his boots on. It's fine. So, Daily Fantasy here on the Fantasy Football Show, brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. All right. So again, there's some stuff going on with DraftKings. So monitor it. I'm sure they'll get it fixed.
Yeah, and here's the thing to look for right now, because most people will play the main slate on Sunday, which is games that are at noon and then the 3:30 games, and it does not include the Sunday night game. So in the main slate, you're done by 6 o'clock or so, and you know how you're doing. For some reason right now, DraftKings is including the Washington-Pittsburgh game, which is on Monday night. They have it listed as a noon game on Sunday. So we'll talk through this and everything, but if you're building lineups, I would wait until they fix that, because that's a pretty big issue right there. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
There's going to be 2 games. There were about to be 3 games on Monday. There'll be 2 games on Monday now, and then 1 game on Tuesday.
Yep.
For the sake of the poor Ravens, so they can get some people out of COVID. They could that lineup that played today, guys, could have beaten the Cowboys. I'm just telling you, they could have beaten the Cowboys straight up and down.
Who? The Ravens?
Yeah. Today.
Oh, yeah.
That lineup, RG3, even as bad as he was, and As much as he struggled, Gus Edwards with 11 yards rushing, could have beaten the Cowboys.
McSorley came in and threw a 70-yard touchdown.
And that was much more on Hollywood Brown than it was McSorley.
Yeah.
Like the thing I got mad, I'm looking at Twitter and people are like, oh, look what McSorley did. Well, one, RG3 had a touchdown pass dropped in the end zone. And I'm not sticking up for him today, but it's not like McSorley came in and was Fran freaking Tarkenton or something. He came in and did what he did. All right, so daily fantasy. Let's start with Grayson here. Grayson, some guys you like in DFS this week.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty good week. Just kind of looking through some of the more interesting plays, a little bit lower on the list. I was pretty upset last week with Derek Carr's performance against Atlanta. He was absolutely terrible, but I'm going right back to it. $5,800. He's playing the Jets. No way he has another terrible week. So I like him this week at the quarterback position. I think he could be a fairly fine play for not a whole lot of money.
That was my quarterback in the league I beat you guys with. I got 4 points out of my quarterback. And I
still won, yeah.
I just thought I'd mention that.
Golly, yeah, he'll get a bounce back this week. He might be in my lineup this week. We'll see. At running back, I really like Jonathan Taylor this week. He didn't play last week against the Titans, and a lot of guys for the Colts didn't play last week against the Titans as they got thumped by Tennessee. But I think he's going to come back, and I think they're going to ride him. I think they've found out over the last 2 weeks who their running back is, who their RB1 is. And I think they're going to give the ball Jonathan Taylor quite a bit against Houston, who has the second worst run defense in the NFL. Another guy I really like is also David Montgomery against Detroit. He had a great week this past week against Green Bay. I think he's going to get back on track after coming back from the concussion. He looked good last week, so I think they're going to feed him a lot. So I like him at the running back spot. At wide receiver, I'm going to keep riding with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. He's 6,900 right now, which is expensive, but he's been good, guys. Really, really good. And if Thielen is out, he's even better. If Thielen is in, then he still is a good play in my opinion. But yeah, I think Thielen's going to be in, right?
He's been activated.
Yeah, so I still would play Jefferson, though. I mean, 6,900 is a little pricey, but still 26 defense against the pass is Jacksonville, so I'm good with him there still. The other guys at wide receiver that I like, this is a kind of a weird play, I think some people would say, but I don't know. Just watching him over the past couple weeks, I think Jarvis Landry is going to have a good week against the Titans. I expect that to be a little bit of a shootout between Tennessee and Cleveland, and Landry's been the number one there since OBJ went down. I think Jarvis could have a pretty sneaky good week for just $6,200.
All right, Steve, what you got?
Yep, and I wanted to look at the lineups from your winning. So you beat me by about 20 points. Mm-hmm. I don't know how far Grayson was behind.
Way behind.
Yeah. So you did. I'm going to give you some credit. You managed to pull that off with. So you mentioned the 4 points from Derek Carr. You also got 0 points from your tight end. Smith,
yeah.
No, from Cook. You had
from
Cook.
Yeah.
Cook got 0 points. That's another very disappointing performance from someone. So, but I'd gone all in on a lot of my daily fantasy rosters with the Raiders defense, who ended up getting -1.
Yeah.
It's hard to get negative points in daily fantasy.
Yes.
Not so much in season long, but in daily fantasy, it's really hard to get negative. And Atlanta just destroyed the Raiders. So,
Atlanta destroyed the Raiders because of their defense. Matt Ryan had a very average day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't.
He didn't
it wasn't
do much.
anything. He wasn't great shakes. So
much at all. So some quarterback plays I like. Speaking of the Falcons, they're playing the Saints again. They just played a couple weeks ago. So even though I complained about Taysom Hill earlier, from a DFS standpoint, that is a good play. He's gone up a little bit on his price. He's at 6,200. Keep an eye on the Miami quarterback situation. They're saying right now that Tua may play. If it's still Ryan Fitzpatrick, I do like that matchup against Cincinnati. The over-under is only at 42, so they're not expecting a high-scoring game, but I would disagree with that. I think Fitzpatrick may do well there. Running backs that I like Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, he's been playing well, yeah.
Yeah, he's been doing well. The Giants are they're playing Seattle. The Seattle defense, you can run against them. Gallman's in there at 5,000, so he's gone up a little bit in his price, but that's a good value there. James Robinson, did Grayson mention him? I couldn't remember. James Robinson. James Robinson with Jacksonville, 6,300. He's a stud.
Yeah,
he does well every week. You can count on 20 points from him.
No matter which crappy quarterback they deal him.
Yeah. They had the neck playing, this last Sunday, Mike Glennon, and he did well. And then receivers, I've been on a Robert Woods kick lately. He's been performing pretty steadily. So, Jared Goff kind of struggled this last week, but I think Woods is a good play. He's only at 5,800 in that game. Cole Beasley, again, as Jarrett Reddick said, seems to score a touchdown every week. I do like the matchup this week. Now, that is a Monday night game, so you would have to have him in a later contest, but I do like Cole Beasley this week. And then tight ends, we've talked about tight ends, but Evan Ingram had over 100 yards. I think that's a good play. Again, he's only at 4,500. Hayden Hurst is at 3,900. Austin Hooper. Hooper and Mayfield seem to be clicking now. It's taken them, Hooper was out for a while with an injury. So I do think Hooper might be a good play there at tight end.
Yeah. What a bust David Njoku was.
He was.
I had high hopes for him. All right. Let's get into our showdown league, guys.
So which one are we going to do?
We are going to do Cleveland versus Tennessee.
All right.
And, it is my honor, since I dominated you last week, both of you, to make the first pick. And this is kind of a tough one on the captain's pick because you want to. We always kind of go in with trying to save a little money, and so you just mentioned Austin Hooper. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about him being the captain? How do we feel collectively?
I don't know if I feel that good about it.
Okay, you don't feel that good about it?
I don't feel very good about it.
Okay. All right. I see. I don't want to eat up all of our the thing is the high end guys here are really high end fantasy guys. Derrick Henry, Nick, Tannehill and Mayfield obviously are going to cost a lot, but Nick Chubb,
how much would Henry be as a captain?
18,000.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to be close to 20.
Yeah, it's 18,000.
Kareem's only 9.6.
Yeah. What?
Kareem is only 9.6.
Yeah, so
I kind of like that.
Yeah, let's do Kareem Hunt. I'll do it to the committee. So there we go. Kareem Hunt. All right, now here we are. Second pick. Steve, you were in second place. So
okay. Let's see.
We have $40,400 left.
Yep. How much is A.J. Brown?
A.J. Brown is 9.6 as well.
Give me A.J. Brown.
I love A.J. Brown. Love A.J. Brown. All right, Grayson, 2 picks to you.
Yeah, I really like that A.J. Brown pick, and I'm going to spend some of our money just because I think these guys are going to have really good games. So I'm going to go with back-to-back picks here of Jarvis Landry and Corey Davis.
Jarvis Landry and Corey Davis. Oh, look at that. Okay, so now we got $14,000 left and 2 picks, which pretty much takes us out of the Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb game.
Both quarterbacks are still available.
It takes us out of at least Tannehill as well. Really, I mean, because otherwise we're going to have to find one of those way down the line guys.
Give me the Tennessee defense.
3,600. Okay. So now 10,800. That breaks us down to. So now here, this is a conflicting pick. All right. So we can either get Ryan Tannehill, or we can get Nick Chubb. And if we have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if they both do well, then our defense doesn't do well. Mm-hmm. But then we're going with the philosophy of let's not just get a defense that's going to lose the game for us, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a hard time drafting Ryan Tannehill to have him help me win a game.
But we got A.J. Brown, so if that hits.
Yeah.
And Corey Davis.
And Corey Davis. Okay. So since we have 10-8 and I don't want to leave any money unspent, I will go with Ryan Tannehill over Nick Chubb. And I really do love Nick Chubb. So
we have no running backs.
We have Kareem Hunt.
Okay.
He's our captain.
All right.
So Ryan Tannehill. So here's our lineup:
I
is
like it.
Kareem Hunt the captain, the Titans defense, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Jarvis Landry, and Ryan Tannehill. I'm submitting this lineup. Armstrong, you're witnessing this. He's witnessed it. He nodded, even though he has a microphone.
I picked Tennessee because I think there's going to be some sacks, and I will also say a pick six.
Yeah. So because we just did this, Steve did not have time to do one of his little. Maybe this lineup will help you win, but this one would be a tough.
Oh, it might have been. Those have been awful, so I didn't do one for this week.
I mean, it would have been a tough one. Let's see. Here's one for 10 cents. Let's see. I'm trying to because if you look, you go down the list. What you try to find is people. You're always pulling someone that's like $300 that could have a good game or $1,000. And on these teams, there really aren't those guys.
No.
They're so high performing. I mean, the cheapest guy that's probably going to catch a touchdown or could is Adam Humphries if he plays.
Humphries, or I was going to say Bryant, the other tight end for Cleveland.
Yeah, and he's 6,300.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so Humphries.
Or Batson for Tennessee, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
he's 1,200. So again, you're not you're not looking at guys where you can find
who's the backup running back in Tennessee?
Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, Deontay Foreman.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so again, he's
so there's
1,800. There's no diamonds.
There's
in
no
the
DJ
rough.
Dallas to pick.
No. There's not a DJ. There's not a DJ Dallas in there. So yeah. But yeah, so that's a tough one. So anyway, but I feel good. The thing about that's all the lineups in this league, in this showdown, are probably gonna score a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it does bother me that of course, everybody else is gonna have Derrick Henry, but
yeah. And again, as we mentioned, that the Cleveland Tennessee game is over under 54. So that's the highest one for the week for the main games on Sunday. So the Vegas people are expecting there to be scoring in that game. Which game do you think is the lowest?
No, it's not Miami and Cincinnati.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, look,
42 points.
Miami doesn't have a lot of offensive weapons anyway, and they've been winning a lot because of their defense. Their defense is really.
That's
good.
why I said if Fitzpatrick plays, I think it goes way over that.
But now with Joe Burrow gone,
yes,
and Brandon Allen playing quarterback. He has no chemistry with it, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, none of the receivers. He's no chemistry. So that one's pretty much out. All right, when we come back, we'll ask Stacy's back with some questions. By the way, Stacy beat me today in fantasy football. I'm supposed to say that on the air because he won, so he beat me.
All right.
He beat me in that.
So just to confirm, you lost.
I lost.
Okay.
I went 0 for 3 this week. I had that one win in daily fantasy out of, 5 things I was in. So, I did another couple head-to-heads with someone else who I'm not going to give her the satisfaction of saying her name on this.
Her?
Yeah. So I'm not going to do that. She's going to be mad at me if she sees this. But I've every time we do a bet or any kind of thing, she wins. She wins. I'm probably pretty much done with competing against her. She's too darn savvy for me. So when we come back, Stardom Sidham and Stacy's email of the week, in which I don't really want to help him now after he beat me today by 4 or 5 points. It came down to Gus Edwards was in my lineup and Chase Claypool was in his, and I thought Gus Edwards was a strong play. I thought they were going to just feed him the rock in the rain. Nope.
RG3 was the leading rusher for the game.
Yeah, I know. And that's only because he had that one long run. Yeah. So that was unfortunate. Unfortunate all the way around. This is the Fantasy Football Show brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Show. Brought to you by Brotherwell Brewing and Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. All right, let's jump into Stacy's questions first, and then we'll get into Stardom Sit-em. He's got several. All righty, go with Ito Smith over Brian Hill in Atlanta. I can tell you from personal experience, yes. Brian Hill, I mean, like, you know, everybody's saying start him, and then Ito Smith got all the kids.
Yeah, Brian Hill burned me in multiple DraftKings lineups. That was another huge disappointment.
Yeah. Great. Did Brian Hill burn you like he burned us?
He actually didn't, but he was definitely an intriguing guy off the waiver wire. I just completely kind of forgot about him, to be honest. I mean, because once Gurley went down, I was like, well, who do I go with? And I saw Brian Hill, and I was like, I don't trust that at all. So I just let it be.
But in every Atlanta game, Brian Hill has been the second guy in, and he's looked good. He's looked better than Gurley in multiple games, and I was just shocked at that.
Yeah, it was weird. All right, Latavius Murray, is he the new number one in running back with Taysom Hill under center? We talked about that a little bit earlier. He's not, but they're kind of vulturing stuff away from Kamara, which I don't understand why you wouldn't, you know.
Well, on Sirius XM, the fantasy channel, today I was listening, and one of the guys said that Kamara is clearly the better back, more talented, but his fear that in this system that they're currently running with Taysom Hill and Taysom Hill doesn't like to check down like Drew Brees does. Brees would check down to Kamara.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill is going to run it instead of checking down. Mm-hmm. And so they were basically kind of convincing themselves that Murray is the better back in this current system, but then you still don't want you cannot justify benching Kamara if he's on your roster. So it's a tough spot. If you have Murray, if you have both of them, you might consider, if you need to, putting Murray in that flex spot and playing both.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Week 13, bench Josh Allen against the 49ers for Kirk Cousins against the Jags. No. I say play Josh Allen.
Yeah, I would play Josh Allen.
Play Josh Allen.
Yeah, play Josh Allen. Okay. Is Matt Ryan even worth a bench spot with Julio Jones so inconsistent and injury prone? Plus, they close out the season against the Saints, Chargers, Bucks, and Chiefs.
I've cut Matt Ryan in some of my leagues and picked up Derek Carr in one. I forget who else I've picked up, but if there's somebody out there that's been a little bit more consistent, then certainly you can cut him because you're probably not going to start him.
Yeah, well, he's been on my bench. Like, I might start Matt Stafford over him.
Yeah.
I've Taysom Hill because I had Drew Brees. Now, I'm going to go ahead because Drew Brees isn't coming back anytime soon, and he's not going to help me for the playoffs. So I've gone ahead, and one of my waiver claims is Drew Brees is the person who's going. Mm-hmm. And granted, I did add Taysom Hill in this league initially as a tight end.
Yeah.
And I played him last week at quarterback. I still wound up losing to Stacey, not because of Taysom Hill, but just because of, Brian Hill, and Brian freaking Hill, Gus Edwards. Gosh, just still mad about it. And so he has a question because he's in this league that he and I do with punters in it, but I'm not going to ask that question because I don't want to be embarrassed. He was the one who successfully argued for punters in the league. He's an attorney, and so he like whipped the league into a frenzy about punters, and I was like on an island going, guys, no.
We're talking about punters.
Yeah, because again, and I'll tell you that we talked about this on the show last week, Grace, when you were out. But this league got founded when they said, Paul, let's do a fantasy football league. You run it, and I was just out of college, and I didn't have a job yet, so I had time to do all this stuff. Well, I didn't know anything about fantasy football. I'd never once played, so I just went to ESPN and started like, I guess you got to add this, and I guess you got to add this. And then so we did it, and really no one else in the league had played fantasy football ever before either. And so we went that whole year with this full roster of individual defensive players and a punter and all this stuff. And I thought that was how you did it. And then like the year right after that, in like 2004, is when ESPN started doing like fantasy football shows. And so I thought, I'm going to watch this, and maybe I'll learn something here. And so they watched the first show, and they put up the lineup, and there's, their lineup, like my lineup is like this.
20 versus 10.
And then like theirs is like this. And I went, okay. So I go back to the league, and I asked them like, hey, this isn't really how you do it. And they're like, no, we love it. All right. So again,
I'm in a Dino league like that, a dynasty league with IDPs, 2 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 safety. And I love it because it's dynasty. That's the only reason, because you get to draft the rookies. It's pretty fun, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Now, like you can, and so then eventually I said, it was getting to the point, like, so about 5 years, 6 years into this, like, it was not worth having the defensive players in your lineup because it didn't affect anything. So I went in and made them worth it. I've bumped up their points a little bit to make it worth, and again, the other thing I did was I did it to, like, trick people into drafting a safety in, like, the 12th round. Like, oh, look, he returned 4 touchdowns last year. He can do it again. Like, now.
That's in my main league, the one you're in now with us. There was about a 2 or 3 year period where we included
like one IDP.
One IDP, and it was always that person was getting drafted after the kickers and defenses.
Yeah,
and we just decided to get rid of it. But punters, I don't know if I could name 3 punters in the league right now.
Let's see. I'll tell you. Let's see. There's Logan Cook.
You can, because you see him on the waivers.
Hunter Niswander. Nice wonder.
I didn't even know. I lost track of the Dallas punter.
Yeah, that's Hunter Niswander.
Because Jones isn't.
He's hurt.
Yeah,
he's hurt.
So who is it?
Hunter Niswander.
Okay.
Niswander. Nice wonder. Grayson, I'm sorry. I'm insulting somebody with a complicated last name.
I can name.
Much like yours.
I can name.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I can name more former Baylor punters than I can current NFL punters.
Let's see. Rigoberto Sanchez. Just got hurt this week, which is why Stacy asked. So listen, we're not going to answer your question, but he got a good 5 minutes of us talking about punters out of this. Okay. Start him, sit him, Steve.
All righty. I'll give a couple quarterbacks here that I like. I like Herbert. I've mentioned him every week. He's solid every week. They're playing New England. New England defense is playing better, but I still like Herbert. And I do like, even though we went with the other option, I do like Kirk Cousins against Jacksonville. Yeah. The Jacksonville defense isn't very good. I do not like this week. Do not like Baker Mayfield against Tennessee. And this should go without saying that the Philadelphia offense is a mess. So Carson Wentz would be someone I doubt if he's even on too many rosters now. But that's a really bad situation. And I'll throw Andy Dalton in there, even though I like Andy Dalton. As we mentioned earlier, that Baltimore defense is going to be hungry, and they're going to probably eat him up, and I would expect probably 5 or 6 sacks.
Yeah,
for him.
Terrence Steele now, like they found a way to make Terrence Steele not play. Now he has to.
He has, yeah. So it's a mess. Running backs, DeAndre Swift should be back for Detroit. They have a new coaching regime in Detroit now for the rest of the year, and
so Darrell Bevell.
Yes, so I think Swift will be a great play. Actually, even they are playing Chicago. Chicago defense will be strong, but. That should be good. I do like Raheem Mostert. He came back, looked really good with the 49ers. They're playing Buffalo.
So did Debo.
Yes. So it's good to get Mostert back and Swift, because Swift was out 1 or 2 weeks as well. I do not like the following running backs. Where'd he go? Do not like Melvin Gordon this week against Kansas City. I haven't liked Melvin Gordon really all season long. And then we mentioned Todd Gurley. He just hasn't looked great. He should play this week against New Orleans, but if you got a better option there, I would go with that. Receivers this week, I do like. We already talked about Jefferson for DFS. I do like him against Jacksonville. I also like, Houston. We've lost Will Fuller, so Brandon Cooks becomes the number one receiver. They are playing in Indianapolis, which is a tougher matchup, but Cooks is now the number one there. Kuti should be number two. So I do like Brandon Cooks for Houston. To sit, Christian Kirk has been so up and down. The Cardinals are playing the Rams. Now, Jalen Ramsey should probably be on Hopkins for most of the game, but Kirk has been really, inconsistent. So if you have a better option, I would look elsewhere on that one. Darius Slayton, he may have been another one this past week that got a goose egg. I think he did, or maybe 1 or 2 points. So you have the number one receiver in New York, and Daniel Jones. That's an injury that we didn't mention earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Jones is probably going to be out. So Colt McCoy is going to be in. So Slayton, takes a hit there. And just real quick, tight ends, we've talked about them. I do like Austin Hooper this week. Is just kind of a safety valve for Mayfield. I think Mayfield will struggle, but if you're in a PPR, I do like Austin Hooper.
Yeah, I do. I think Baker Mayfield is going to wind up in the next, everybody wants to kind of cast him out in Cleveland. I think Kevin Stefanski likes him.
Yeah.
And I think that he'll be fine in that offense when they keep it double tight end, both those running backs running, and letting him make plays with those wide receivers, on occasion by drawing him in. And the tight ends will be even more valuable. Next year, David Njoku won't be there, but Bryant and Hooper, that's going to be their offense.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Another double tight end situation, going back to Houston, they're probably going to use Fells and Akins a lot. Akins is someone that's really stepped up for Houston, so either one of those tight ends might be a good play.
All right, Grayson, what do you got?
Yeah, so at quarterback, I like the guy that we picked in daily fantasy. I think Ryan Tannehill is a pretty good play against Cleveland. I also wouldn't mind playing Baker if your options at quarterback are really bad. I've gone through the list, and some of those lower tier quarterbacks don't have great matchups this week, but those two, not bad. I like Phillip Rivers against Houston as well, and then also Kirk Cousins, who Steve mentioned. I think he's going to have a very fine week there. As far as guys I don't like, not a huge fan at all of Matt Ryan this week against New Orleans, especially if Julio Jones isn't playing. Carson Wentz was mentioned earlier. I wouldn't play him. Also a little weary of Matthew Stafford at Chicago. That's a tough matchup. He has better matchups coming. The Chicago defense, especially against the pass, has been pretty solid. At running back, I mentioned a couple guys a little bit earlier. I think David Montgomery is a top 10 play this week against Detroit. He looked really good his first week back. I think he could have a great week there against a really soft defense. I mentioned Jonathan Taylor as well. I think he could have a great week against Houston. And another lower end guy who hopefully isn't on anyone's waiver wire because he should have been picked up a while ago, but I like Damian Harris against the Chargers. He's been their running back one. He's the guy getting the carries. So I'm going to try to ride with him against a just okay defense due to a whole lot of injuries. As far as guys I don't like this week, I am not a huge fan of Nyheim Hines because I'm going back. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the guy. I think the Colts are going to have a lead, and therefore I think they're going to give it to a bigger running back to try to punish the defense. So I would not play Hines this week. And then also a little weary of Duke Johnson this week in that same matchup. Indy's going to get a lot of guys back, and I know everyone's going to look at that Derrick Henry performance last week and say, oh man, the Colts defense isn't very good. I'm telling you, they were missing 5 starters on that defense, including DeForest Buckner and Bobby Okereke at running back or at linebacker. That's a tough defense. So I would not play him in that matchup. At the wide receiver position, this is one you obviously can't bench DeAndre Hopkins, but I would temper expectations a little bit this week. I think he'll still be a top 12 play, maybe, but he's got a chance to bust a little bit. They haven't been feeding him the ball quite as much. Obviously, you're going to play him. Just be a little weary there. But as far as guys I like Deontay Johnson against the Redskins. I think he's the number 1 in Pittsburgh. I've mentioned him a lot. I think it's a great matchup, and I think he's going to come up with some big plays in that matchup as well. We mentioned the Dallas versus Baltimore game. Now, I don't think Dallas is going to have a whole lot of success against Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to put up a lot of points, but they could be down a lot in this game, meaning they're going to throw the football and get some garbage time points. So Amari Cooper, I think, is actually a pretty good play this week for the Cowboys. I also like Jarvis Landry, who I mentioned a little bit earlier, and also Deebo Samuel against Buffalo, who Paul mentioned. I think he could be a pretty nice play, even with Brandon Ayuk coming back. As far as guys I don't really like, Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay against Chicago. If Galladay's back, very weary of that matchup. I just don't think it's going to be a great time for that Detroit or for that Chicago offense. And then also not a huge fan of Cooper Kupp this week against Arizona. I actually prefer Robert Woods this week. I think he's going to have the better matchup against the Cardinals.
All right, guys. By the way, I love Deebo Samuel. Love Deebo.
Quick question. Who is now the number 1 running back for the Rams?
It might be Cam Akers.
I know.
Might be Cam Akers.
who I drafted in almost every league and cut.
I drafted him in
4 or 5
our league.
weeks ago.
I cut him as well.
I would not believe in it, guys. I would be very weary still because they've been going back and forth all year long.
Yeah. I know.
Well, look, I think Cam Akers year 2 will establish himself as the guy. Like, so next year.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that, because he is, of those 3 guys, like, if I wanted to rank the talent, it'd be Akers, Henderson, and Malcolm Brown. I'm amazed his NFL career has gone this long. Mm-hmm. Like, I really am. Like, he's turned into a really steady, consistent NFL player, on a roster. But the fact that he's taking carries away from either of those 2 guys blows my mind.
Yeah.
But
And just real quick, going back to the Detroit-Chicago game, I think the teams this season that have fired their coach, they have won the next week with their new coach.
Yeah, that actually happens.
That's what usually happens. Yeah. So Detroit and
do you know why that is? It has very little to do with the coach in most cases, because a lot of times people are loyal to the coach. I asked this to Orlando Scandrick, who I do a podcast with. By the way, shameless plug, Believe in the Cowboys podcast. Like and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. It's fantastic. We have a good time. Me and Orlando. But I asked him about that because he went through it with Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
When Jason Garrett became the coach, he said the biggest thing is that when the coach gets fired, all the guys that he drafted and liked are now on notice, because there's going to be another coach in there. You've got to play hard. You've got to make sure that they keep you so you don't get cut.
Yeah.
And even like there's some guys with big enough contracts that don't really have to worry about it so much, but you never know, and so especially if your team is in a salary cap position where they can be like, you know what? Yeah, the hell with you. Get out of here. Yeah, you play hard. You ball out. You want to show that you're invested.
Yeah. So for daily fantasy, if you're making multiple lineups, I would throw in a Stafford, Swift, and Jones stack just to see what happens.
Okay. Good tip. Good tip. There we go. We'll see how that works out. Steve, thank you for watching the Fantasy Football Show. Whenever you do get to watch it, thanks to Armstrong Sims. Armstrong, get on the mic real quick. In the playoffs, right, buddy?
In the playoffs.
He's in the playoffs. Your playoffs start this week or next?
This coming week.
This coming week. So he's in the playoffs. Our own Armstrong Sims.
Oh, yes.
He of having a backup kicker.
Thanks to y'all.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Is there a trophy? Is there something that we can display?
There's no trophy. There's a last place punishment, but I I can't even remember what it is. But
Okay, well, if you're in the playoffs, you're not going to get the last
Yeah,
playoff.
yeah.
He had 2 kickers and like 5 defenses. On
Yeah,
the
he
roster.
was just making sure. Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you to Grayson. Thanks to Steve. We're back again next week, this same time, right here on Sikkim 365 Radio. Thanks, of course, to Richard Carr and to Brotherwell Brewing. That's going to do it for us. See ya.